All right, 4-star Hoshina, one of the top contenders for best supports in the game, next to 4-star Mina. Today we're going to be talking about how to build this character to maximize his potential. So we'll go over what the best weapon for him is, what uniparts you want to equip to him, whether or not he is worth ascending, what skills you want to upgrade first, and then of course what team he could potentially be really good on. So starting with the weapon, there is literally only one weapon you can put on this character that is going to be good for his kit, okay? And that is going to be the SW Fox 48. Now there are other twin swords, but they aren't really effective in the grand scheme of his kit, right? So keep that in mind. Like even the 5-star one, it's not designed for him, it's designed for the 5-star Hoshino, right? So this one is literally the choice, okay? So what it's gonna do, effect resist plus 22%. Once again, percentages can be different depending on where your Ascension level is for the weapon. After the equipped unit activates ultimates, applies attack plus 32.4% for 2 turns to the battle buddy. That is very good because anytime this guy ults, it's going to be giving an additional buff to an ally. Any of his other stuff doesn't really buff allies if you equip any of the other weapons, so this is the weapon you want to run on him. Once again, as you enhance it, you can increase that overall percentage to give even more damage to your battle buddy. Now, as for the unipart set you want to go for, it is the same as Mina. Anytime you have a support character, you typically are going to want to go for this unipart set. It is going to be the Wyvern set. So what this does is it's going to give you additional speed because you want your buffer, your character who's doing the buffing, going before your damage dealers. That way he can actually buff those characters. And then additionally, you get effect resist plus 17.9%. And after activating a combat skill, applies attack plus 9.9% to all allies for 1 turn. So an additional attack buff as well. So this is by far, bar none, the best unipart set you can equip to him. Now, make sure when you guys are equipping your different uniparts that you get effects that actually benefit you, like right here, ultimate gauge charge rate plus 5%. That is actually decent on him when you think about the fact that you need to be able to ult to get the additional damage from his weapon, right? So it's not the worst thing to have right there. Attack plus 70%, it's okay. I mean, like in the grand scheme of things though, you got to think about this character. He's not really going to be a main damage dealer, he's a buffer character, right? So does that really help us much? Not really. So I wouldn't be too upset about re-rolling that. So just pay attention to the stats you get there and go for what works best for you overall. Now, as for Ascension, do I think it's worth ascending this guy? Absolutely. Okay, even dupe 1 makes him so much better. Look at dupe 1. Battle buddies crit rate plus 20% off the rip, man. That's actually insane. That is so good. And then at dupe 2, all allies follow up skill damage dealt plus 25% just permanently throughout the battle. Broken. And then at dupe 3, you get the normal attack and follow-up skill level plus 2 and max level plus 2. That's the same for everybody. At dupe 4, after activating ultimate, battle buddies ultimate gauge plus 25%. It's going to let them get their ultimate faster. That's really good when you pair this character up with Mina, allowing her to get her ultimate faster. 5-star Mina really loves to work with this Hoshina. He works really well for her. And then at dupe 5, combat skill, ultimate skill, passive skill, all level plus 2 and max level plus 2. And then at dupe 6, this is actually huge. After battle buddy defeats a kaiju, applies speed plus 20% to this character for 2 turns. That is going to be really helpful as well. The only bad thing about getting dupe 6 is it requires you to defeat a kaiju. Typically when you're running this character, you're running him in boss battles, and boss battles you're typically taking on one enemy, and then when you defeat that enemy, you're done. So for that reason, like, I wouldn't say it's necessary to get him to dupe 6. I would say dupe 4 is kind of what you're aiming for with this 4-star Hoshina. So if you're able to get him to dupe 4, I would call it good. But highly recommend at bare minimum, getting him to dupe 1, right? Because that's 20% extra crit rate. That is very good. Now, in terms of skills, we'll start with the additional passive skills, then we'll talk about the normal, combat, and ultimate skill, and which one you want to upgrade first out of like all these options over here, including the passive skill. But for the first additional passive skill for getting to level limit 40, this unit and battle buddies normal attack damage dealt plus 20%. So period, battle buddy is going to get an additional 20% damage. That's great. And then if you get to level limit 60, after attacking combat after activating combat skill, applies speed plus 15% to this unit. That's going to be helpful. And then the last additional passive skill requires a level 80. After turn arrives, this unit's ultimate gauge plus 12. Very, very good. I don't know why I actually have this upgraded. I must have done it at the beginning of the game. I don't remember doing it. But his skill 1 deals slash damage equal to 65% of this unit's attack to a single kaiju. His skill 2 applies ST attack and blast attack damage dealt plus 35.7% for 2 turns to a single ally. If the target is a battle buddy, randomly removes one of their debuffs. So that's a pretty good damage dealt buff for 2 turns. That's very, very solid. And then his ultimate deals slash damage equal to 143% of this unit's attack to a single kaiju. After attacking, applies speed plus 14.7% for 2 turns to the battle buddy. And then his follow-up attack deals slash damage equal to 65% of this attack to a single kaiju. And then his passive skill. After activating combat skill or ultimate, if SP is 2 or less, applies speed plus 16% for 2 turns to the battle buddy. If SP is 1 or less, applies crit damage plus 32% for 2 turns to the battle buddy. That crit damage can be really good with Mina, who has a guaranteed crit, right? So that is a very, very strong ability. But overall, right, I do think it's going to be easier to achieve using your skill 2 than it is going to be to stay below 1 SP all the time, right? That's going to be a little bit harder to achieve. So in general, for upgrade priority, like I still think passive skill is very, very good. Don't get me wrong. I think it should be up there for like upgrade priority, but I'd say combat skill is going to be your number 1 upgrade priority, then your passive skill, then your ultimate, and then it literally doesn't matter. Go for your follow-up or your normal attack and level those up. Oh, and actually I realize now why it's at level 3. I didn't even think about it. When you ascend him to dupe 3, right, it levels it up by 2. So that's why it's at level 3. I didn't do that. I was like, why? I don't remember doing this. Okay, because I didn't. So keep that in mind as well. When you ascend them, that happens, so don't freak out over that, because that's 3 out of 12 now. Okay, so once again, just to reiterate for you though, it's going to be skill 2 first, then your passive skill, then your ultimate, and then after that, it literally doesn't matter. You can go for your normal or your follow-up skill in terms of upgrade priority. And that's pretty much everything you need to know about him. Let me show you guys a really good team for him. So this team is not the only team you can run him on, right? He is a support character. He can be ran on pretty much any team you want and actually be super useful. But if you're taking on a boss, this team is really good for boss battles, has a lot of survivability and a lot of big damage, because you have Kaiju number 8 and Isao Shinomiya tanking for you, and then you have Hoshina buffing the crap out of Mina, giving the crit damage, giving the attack damage, giving a bunch of buffs to her. And then Mina is going to be able to do a guaranteed crit, and she's going to be able to ult for a huge amount of damage. So that's kind of the idea behind this team. So you have 2 protectors, you have a buffer, and then you have a large damage dealer. And hopefully you'll be able to do fairly well in boss fights. So just an idea for a team for him. You don't have to run this team. You can run potentially literally any team with him. So let me know what you guys think of him down in the comments. Have you been using him a lot? Do you find him super useful? Do you think Mina's better, or do you think he's better? I'm curious to know. I feel like there's going to be a debate there, but I'd be curious to know who's better, the 4-star Mina or 4-star Hoshina, now that both build guides are out. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, please consider going down there, hitting that like button, hitting that subscribe button, and peace.